Friends, would you be upstanding for this, please? Brothers, members, I'd like to introduce you to our District Chairman of tonight, Brother Mark Farrell. That's right.
Evening, everyone.
Okay, so now we have the Brother District Chairman. I'd like to introduce the visiting branch chairman, Brother Steve Murphy from Werribee Branch, Brother Penola Hub Building North Branch, and Brother Jerry Van East of the Danlon North Branch. Brother Chairman, members of the Victorian State Council decide witness to this meeting. Sorry, we have the District Chairman as well.
Yeah.
And now the State Council, please. Brother Chairman, State Chairman, Brother Carmine, Miranda, accompanied by Father Yogarajah, Parish Priest of St. Andrew's Parish, and Father John Paul from Mount St. Andrew's Werribee Parish beside the midst of the meeting. Father, so you can take the seat. Brother Chairman, the President of the International Alliance of Catholic Knights, Brother Colin Walsh, decides the witness to this meeting.
Okay. Firstly, a few comments. Just like to welcome everyone here tonight. A lot of people have travelled a long way to come. Some from the other side of Melbourne, and some guys just from Werribee. So it's really good, exciting. Just like to congratulate everyone for coming. Especially like to welcome the IAC President, Brother Colin, who's, I suppose you'd say, the master knight of the world. And it's a privilege and honour for you to be here, so thank you. Just a few introductions. The State Chairman, Carmine Miranda. It's been known for a long time and well received when he became State Chairman. And of course, it's really good to be welcomed here by the parish, especially Father Albert here, and of course the ever youthful Father John Paul. He used to be at our parish until we got moved, which was the same day. Okay. The opening prayers. Yes. If everyone grabs a prayer sheet. Okay, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Opening prayers. Be present with us, the Holy Spirit, which in your name, we worship every day together. Come to us in our prayers, which we please with our adoration. Instruct us in what we should do, but let it be truthful towards our suggestions. May we be love justice, let us not offend against justice or charity. Grant also and maintain our attention. Give us what we give your grace and harmony with your will, so that we may act one with you, with the Father and the Son, with the reign of God forever and ever. Amen. International Alliance Prayer.
O God, Father of all mankind, send your Holy Spirit upon us tonight, dedicated to your service throughout the world. Help us to know the work we must do. Give us strength and courage to persevere of the Christian life, and do all things love him, Mary our Mother, and also always still keeping. Amen.
Family commitment prayer.
Heavenly Father, we believe in your Son, who is risen from the dead. We thank you for this. We also believe in the word of your Son, that anything we ask you in his name, we grant. We have confidence with trust in the righteous of your Son, and in his name, we ask you to strengthen us in sincere witness we might practice the truth of our homes, and strengthen the family and society. We make this prayer to you through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Prayer for our departed brothers.
Brothers, in your charity, you're asked to pray for the repose and soul of the souls of the following clergy, brothers and family members who died recently, and those whose anniversaries occur at this time. Joseph Leo Kerrin, Mansfield, father of Father Tony, KSC State Chaplain. Stanley Kerr of Horsham, Rhino Connell of Diamond Valley. Douglas Allen Lane of Northern Peninsula. And John Joseph Brehower of Box Hill.
Okay. Eternal
This
rest.
ground, our Lord, and let the face of light shine upon them. May they rest in peace. Amen.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Just stay standing while we recite the objects of the order. To
Promote the advance of Australia, to foster the Christian way of life throughout the nation, to promote the welfare of representatives and their families, to encourage spiritual, social, and intellectual activities among citizens, to promote charitable charities and social welfare work.
brothers, I invite you to take a seat.
Before we proceed, brothers, can we turn off any mobile phones, please?
Whoever's rank can shout the bar. By virtue of the power vested in me by State Council as Chairman of District 11, I declare this meeting open for such business that lies within our power and the request of all to remain standing for the open press. Okay, we've done that. Okay, I'd just like to invite Father Albert to lead. Okay, the open prayer. Father, would you like to make any comments? Yeah.
First and foremost, thank you for coming. My experience with Knights of the Southern Cross is since I came into this country, I've seen the Knights only at Cathedral when we have big functions around this. Knights are there, usher us or give us the mark book or something like that. So that's all I knew about Knights for a long time. But when I went to Hampton Park, some of the members of the parish, they joined the Knights of the Southern Cross, and Michael is here. Michael was one of them. So then I came to know a little more about Knights of the Southern Cross and their involvement in the parish and all that. But still not much. Then when I came here, John Hennessy came and met with me and spoke to me about Knights and all that, and what are the activities they do, not only in the diocese or in the nation, but especially in their own parishes, how they can get involved in the parish. And, so I thought, oh, I didn't know all these things all this time. I thought they were some sophisticated or some elite group that is there only to come there like a decoration at the functions or ceremonies in the cathedral and then go away. I didn't know about their parish involvement and so on. So I was very happy when John came and told me about, and suggested why can't we have a branch here. I said, oh, that would be wonderful to have a branch here. So that's how it's all started. So I would like to say thank you to John, and also thank you for taking up that initiative from John, and also the suggestion of John, and planning to have a branch here. So on behalf of the whole parish, I would like to say thank you to you. While you are going planning and having inauguration today, I also met with some ladies who came to start Legion of Mary in our parish. So I had a chat with them, a couple of meetings I had, and once again, there was some group, South Sudanese women who were meeting here week after week, and they were praying. I thought, there are so many prayer groups going on here, so I thought this is one of the prayer groups. Then one of the members came and told me, Father, we belong to Legion of Mary. We were Legion of Mary there. We are just continuing here, but we have a private meeting only here. So when these people came, the other people came from our zone, they came and told me that they would like to have a branch here. I told them about this South Sudanese group as well. They will be very happy to have them as well, so that they can approach the South Sudanese families and South Sudanese children and all that in their own language and own culture and all that. So that's another glad news that we have had. So they are also getting ready to start a branch or presidium of Legion of Mary in our parish as well. So it's good to have, hand in hand to go to both groups to be inaugurated or start in this parish and to give more light to the parish, So thank you very much, and thank you Chair, and thank you all the members who have come here tonight, and thank you for the new members who have come forward courageously, boldly to join in the group. Thank you so much. God bless.
I'd just like to, thanks Father, firstly, for good words. I'd just like to call now Brother Carmine to say a few words and an announcement of the formation of the new branch.
Thank you, Brother Mark, Reverend Fathers, State Councillors, Colin Walsh, our IAC President, fellow brothers. For the ones that don't know me, Miranda is my name. I've had the role of chairman now for, I think it's about 7 months, so I'm a newie on the block, as they say. But it's a pleasure that in 12 months we've been able to commence our second branch. Thank you, Father, for allowing us to commence the second branch. Our aim is to, my aim as the State Chairman is to encourage our existing branches to evolve and continue growing, and also look at commencing new branches. We've been doing a lot of work with the seminarians over the last 20 years through the KSC Pre-Support Education Fund, Archbishop's Dinner, which I've got 2 hats, but I'm also the chairman of that group as well. And over the years we've got to know a lot of the seminarians, which are now becoming parish priests. And from that we find that they get into branches and they get into parishes and there are no KSC members there. So, or if they are, we're trying to make it more formal like we do here today. So Werribee's, this will be, we've got Werribee 101, which is the number 1 Werribee branch, and last year we set up Hoppers Crossing North, and now we're going to have Werribee St Andrews. The branch, and officially will be branch 178. So that means that there's been 178 branches commenced in the Knights. So congratulations, branch 178 will be formed as of tonight.
Excuse me, just breaking into the formalities. I've got 2 guys lost in Werribee, and I've just directed them from the plaza along this way, but I'd like to give the phone to Steve if I can, because I think I'm going to have a bit to do.
That's okay. So these are 2 new members that have got lost, or?
Steve, they'll be at your place in about 3 minutes. They'll get lost on the way, and then if you can answer the phone direct on the road.
Thanks Brother John, thanks Brother Steve.
Yeah, so we are proud to be able to commence the second branch tonight, and we're hoping that with Hoppers Crossing North and also Werribee St Andrews, with the 3 branches in Werribee, that eventually will change the way we do districts, and there should be a very strong region going forward. That's that's some years away. But for the new members, I'm hoping that we get you on board tonight. As I said, Brother Stephen, Brother John and Brother Mark have done tremendous work over the last 9 months to try and get the branch up and running with the assistance of Father Albert. It's a lot of hard work because at the end of the day, nobody knows much about the Knights, and through hopefully what the brothers have sort of told you, that's why you're here tonight to join. So at this point in time, I'll probably leave it at that, and I'll probably say some more things later on. But thank you for all the hard work you've done so far.
Okay, well, while you're sitting down and get ready to stand back up, because I'm going to hand the chair over to you, because you've got to go through the inauguration. Yes.
Okay. Now, this is to certify that on the 7th day of May in the year of our Lord 2019 at Melbourne, permission has been granted by the Knights of Southern Cross Victoria at Werribee St Andrews Branch number 178, and the same is now truly and legally established for the transaction of business as authorised by the Order Constitution. The branch charter is granted on the condition that the officers and members of the said branch shall faithfully and consciously adhere to the aims and objects of the Constitution of the Order and conform to all its rules and bylaws. Strictly obey all instructions from State Council of Victoria. The power of suspending this charter lies in the hands of State Council of Victoria, who can do so for any willful violation of any of the conditions mentioned above. We'll start with the installation of the new branch chairman here at Werribee St Andrews, branch 178.
The chairman will be John Hennessy. John was invited into the Knights by Brother Kevin McLaughlin, who's here, brother, sometime ago in the 80s, I believe. 84. John since then has held a lot of positions. He's been branch chairman. He's also served on the state council. He's also been the state chairman. He's then taken up a new role as the Colin, what's the official name? The
Order Development
Committee, where he's reformed the Knights from the parish men into the branches of now today, working in the parish, the needs of the parish. John's a member of this parish here at St Andrews Werribee, and with his experience is fit for this position. I'd like to call John to come forward.
Brother John, I call upon you to raise your right hand and repeat the Pledge of Office.
Can I just read it?
Yeah, put up your right hand. Yeah.
I solemnly, I solemnly pledge myself to carry out faithfully the duties of a branch councillor of the Knights of the Southern Cross, to observe faithfully the Constitution of the Order and obey all decisions of the Council for this state, to observe strictly the procedure provided by the State Council for the conduct of the business of the Order, and to use my best endeavours to ensure that the procedure is strictly observed by all those who are under my jurisdiction, to recite daily and at other convenient times the Knight's Prayer. And I make this solemn pledge with a clear understanding of the responsibility attaching to me as a Catholic man to justify the trust which has been placed in me.
Please lower your right hand. Now, is there a branch chairman?
Takes over from me.
That means a branch chairman, regalia.
Okay, we don't have that yet.
Brothers, brother, I now call upon you to take the chair of the Werribee St Andrews Branch of the Order of the Knights of Southern Cross of Victoria, and I trust that under your guidance, with the advice and assistance of your branch executive, your term in office will be crowned with success, bringing credit to the Order.
I now call on Father Albert to say a few words. A few more words. You already said it.
I've already said it, but I would like to congratulate the chairperson or the president of New Branch. So, on behalf of the whole parish, we welcome you. Thank you very much.
I now call on the president of the International Alliance of Catholic Knights, Brother Colin Walsh.
Reverend Fathers, Brother John, and brothers, thank you very much. And Father John, congratulations on being elected the chairman of this branch. And for those who don't know me, I come from Sunbury. That means I'm part of this district, so I feel like a local, and it's really great to be opening a new branch, especially in my district, so I'm very pleased about that. Probably don't know a lot about the International Alliance of Catholic Knights, but the Knights of the Southern Cross Australia, and we talk about the Knights of the Southern Cross Victoria and New South Wales and West Australia, South Australia and Tasmania and Queensland, are part of the International Alliance of Catholic Knights. In the International Alliance, each country is allowed one vote. And if you look at the Knights of the Southern Cross, one of the things, one of our aims is to do charitable works, to support the priests and the religious and so on. And the purpose of IAC is fairly simple, and I thought the purpose of IAC is to bring the message of Christ to all people, to support the Pope and the bishops and the priests and the religious throughout the world, and to nurture the faith of its members and Catholics in general, encouraging them to play a generous part in the life and mission of the Church, to foster the unity of its members through prayer, and to promote the establishment of orders of Catholic Knights where they do not yet exist, such as here. It is strongly committed to defending the dignity of life in every phase, promoting social justice, and calling for vigilance in relation to genetic engineering, cloning and their predictable consequences. In its evangelic work, IAC gives ample scope to cooperating with other Catholic international organisations. So that's what IAC is about. So you might ask, whereabouts is IAC throughout the world? I thought today at lunchtime, I thought I'll just jot out just a few countries, and by no means a full list. The Knights are in Africa, the Gambia, Ghana, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Togo, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Canada, Cuba, Seoul, Philippines, Austria, Belgium, Pakistan, and I think I've left out Great Britain and Ireland and the United States out of that list. And there's many other countries where the Knights are in existence. And we all come together under the banner of IAC. And since I became president and moving around to the various countries, even before I became president, I came to realise one thing, and that is Catholics throughout the world, whether it's in the back blocks of Africa, or whether it's in the United States, or in the Philippines, or Seoul, or anywhere like that, we're all the same. We have the same issues, we have the same problems, that is attacks on the church, and you've only got to look at Nigeria, and the Knights are there, are under strain every day, where they've had all their churches bombed and so on. And and other countries like that. In Pakistan's another one I can mention where the Knights find it very difficult to be Knights and to practice their religions. So the Knights are worldwide, and you've probably heard of the Knights of Columbus in America. The Knights of Columbus in America have 15 million members. I don't know what the membership of Knights is throughout the world, but I do know that the Pope looks upon the Knights as a great support to he and the Catholic Church and the religious throughout the world. So much so that and I should say as part of IAC, we actually run the International Alliance. The Secretary General is in Dublin, and he goes to, he has to go to Rome 3 times a year, where he is briefed by Cardinal Farrell on what's happening in the church throughout the world, and that occurs every 4 months. And Cardinal Farrell in the Vatican who actually looks after the Knights around the world, and that's our liaison point. So we do have a fairly close association with the Vatican. I should go on and say, and I'm telling this story against myself, I opened the mail only a few weeks ago, and I thought, what's this? What's this letter? I opened it up and it was headed up to the Vatican. I'm reading it through, and I was invited to a meeting in Rome with a guaranteed audience with the Pope. And you know what I've done? Something I never thought I'd do. I've actually knocked it back. And the reason I knocked it back is it was a conference that wasn't really relevant to the Knights, but it wasn't really fair, I didn't think, for the Knights to be paying for me to go over and meet the Pope for probably 5 minutes or something like that. And on the other side of it, I didn't really think our budget could afford it, our family budget could afford it. I never thought I would do that in my life. So that's just a little bit about the Knights around the world. And in Australia, and not so much in Victoria, because we run a series of nursing homes right across Australia, very much so. In fact, in Tasmania, Southern Cross Care is the largest provider of aged care in that state. In South Australia, we've got 54 nursing homes, and are one of the largest in South Australia. Tasmania, I think I mentioned Tasmania, Queensland and Western Australia have all got very strong Southern Cross Care as well. And we had a strong Southern Cross Care organisations, but it's just been absorbed into Nursing Health. So that's a lot of the work that we do in Australia, as well as supporting the priests and so on. In South, I say the Knights of the Garter in South Africa are very strong also into nursing homes, and they run a big insurance company over there. I said the Knights of Columbus, and probably most people have heard of the Knights of Columbus in America, where they've got 15 million members. And having been over there, they are a great source to the church in America financially. Matter of fact, if you're ever in America and you're in Washington, don't miss going to see the John Paul III Museum. It's a fantastic museum, fully financed by the Knights, pay for all the staff, run the museum, and they built the building in magnificent grounds as well. And just up the road from there was where the National Shrine to Our Lady, which is a magnificent shrine, and the Knights built the bell tower, and I can tell you now, the bell tower was obscene, that it went up so high, I'm not so sure they could hear down below when the bell rings, but the Knights supported it, and a whole lot of other things in America as well. I was lucky enough too recently, and I've just got a couple of photos that I'll show you so we're not talking for too long, and where I was invited recently over to Ghana, and the Knights have a 5-year conference over there, and I was negotiating with them in the early hours of the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock, they're always ringing up, and he said in the course of the conversation, we're having our meeting, we'd like you to be the main speaker, but we're not sure if we can get everyone into the stadium. And I sort of visioned that they'd have 100, 200 people there. You know, we go to the national conference in Australia, there's a couple of hundred people and that's it. And I said, what do you mean you can't get them into the stadium? And he said, oh, well, we've got 6,000 bookings now and we expect 9,000 people to be there. So I go along, and I find that all the knights are dressed up in gear like this, and incidentally I was announced as being the only white, this is how they introduced me. You may have noticed, but we have a white man in our midst today. I can see we've got 9,000 black faces looking at me. But what was fantastic about it was they're all dressed in their gear. I'll pass these photos around. All dressed in their dinner suits and bow ties and bowler hats, and they looked absolutely fantastic. And as I say, there was 9,000 there, and all in their gear, really colourful gear that they've got. And the women look just as magnificent. They have a very strong women's section over there as well, and young people. And everywhere I went, young people were saying to me, we cannot wait to join the order. And that's sort of the spirit. I just wish that we had that spirit in Australia. And the women, you can see they're all young women. They were called the soldiers of Christ. They were all carrying spears and imitation spears and swords and all that sort of thing. And they were all dressed, as I said, in their dinner suits. And that was just one I was looking for, was how the women were all dressed, all in their uniforms as well. Looked absolutely magnificent. So I get up to make my speech, and something I didn't know until I was up on the stage, and that was my speech was being carried live on TV into 8 African countries. And African countries that I'd never really heard of. I was heard of them, but hadn't known a lot about them. Liberia, which has had a very violent past, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Togo, and they've all got strong delegations of knights in those countries as well. So as I say, you can see it's a worldwide organisation. There's millions of men throughout the world that are part of the Knights, all working for the support of our church, all working for the Pope and the clergy. And I should say, I mentioned what they were doing. The Knights of Columbus support the homeless people in America. One of my favourite orders, there's actually 2 orders of Knights in America. The Knights of Columbus that are basically centred on the north of America, and the Knights of Peter Clay are a predominant, and I say predominantly a black order in the deep south of America. I mentioned, I think, South Africa and what they do. In Ghana, with all their membership, and the women included, the projects they carry out is they go to the jails and they feed the people in jail. They go to they call it sanitariums, the mental asylums, and they look after the people in the mental asylums. They're just 2 of the things that they do. And every country, in Dublin, for example, the Knights in Dublin give up their Christmas Day every year to feed 1,000 homeless people in Dublin. And then they have their Christmas Day the next day. So around the world, there's lots of projects, lots of Knights, and all willing to support our priests and clergy, and all work for a common cause in terms of the God that we love. Thank you very much.
Call now our State Chairman for a few words, please. Father Carmine.
Okay. Probably said a few words there. I'll probably promote some of the events we've got coming up. Our state seminar, we normally have one seminar a year, 1 or 2, but our state seminar will be on the 16th of June at St Clair's in Box Hill. The aim is every branch to have at least members attend. In those days, that's where you get a lot of the information of what branches are doing, what's working in branches, what's not working. So it's a great opportunity to meet fellow members of branches. The event after that starts at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock for Mass, followed by 10 o'clock the state seminar, and it'll finish about 4 o'clock. It'd be well worthwhile, and if it's one of the only events you go to, I'd recommend you get to that event. The next one is probably our biggest fundraiser for the year, which is the KSC Pre-Sport Education Fund, Archbishop's Dinner. It's held at Werribee Valley, and it's been going now for, last year was our 20th year, so this will be the 21st year. Over the 20 years we've passed on 1.1 million to the Archbishop, which he then passes on to the Archdiocese and the military ordinance to fund our seminarians and priests for education going forward. It's a fabulous night. It's a great opportunity where you meet like-minded people. The cost of the night is $140 a head, 3-course meal, a beer, wine, and soft drinks. There'll be plenty of promotion before the event. It's on Friday the 16th of August. Our guest speaker on the night will be Susan Alberti. Our Master of Ceremonies will be Brian Martin. So marking the diary, Friday the 16th of August. And we have an annual conference once a year. This year it will be held at Box Hill on the 28th, I think it is, Sunday the 28th of October. And that's where if I've done a good job, they kick me out and they get a new person in, or if I've done a good job, they keep me there for another 12 months. So, we organise a new state council, and we offer anybody that feels they can help us to come on board. So they're just some of the events that we do. I'm not sure if you know much about the night, so I know that Glenn said he didn't know much about it, so I'm happy to now just say a few things about what we do. There are branches all over the place. As I said, Werribee's going to be one of the strongest areas because we're going to have 3 pretty strong branches in the area. But we do a lot of fundraising for St Vinny's. We do a lot of fundraising for we do soup kitchens. We assist the priests. Basically, our aim is to speak to the clergy and just ensure that we're there to make sure that we can assist the clergy in any way we can. We want to be relevant in today's church. That's the most important thing for the Knights to stay in existence, to stay strong, is they've got to be relevant. So, and the way we do that is we've got with the assistance of the clergy, make sure that we help them in whatever they need us for, be it assisting with preparing coffees and teas, or organising functions, ushering at events, car parking, wherever the need is. Could be in finance, could be because in the Knights, when we first started, we were an economic order. So if you needed a plumber, you had a contact. If you needed a builder, you had a contact. If you needed a hairdresser, you had a contact, an accountant, financial planner, general insurance. I think Brother Andrew uses an example that he bought his first home and he didn't go any further than the branch newsletter, where he was able to get a conveyancer to organise the paperwork for his home loan. He was able to get a mortgage broker that organised his loan. He was able to get an insurance person to organise insurance. What have I missed, Andrew?
That was it.
That was it, those 3 things. So that's one of the biggest investments you can do in your life, and it was all done with the advertisers in the back of the branch newsletter. And our aim is going forward, we're just in the process of appointing a brand new state economic officer. It's even probably news to a lot of my state councillors, but it will be a new state economic officer, and he's a young chap, which will be pushing the economic side of things in a big way. Brother Tony's probably we'll get to talk later on, but one thing about the Knights is what you put in, you'll get a hell of a lot more out of it. Okay, so but relevance is the biggest thing that I think that For us to continue to grow as an order, we need to be relevant so people join us, and we need to be relevant to make sure that we're being seen by the clergy that we are strong and we're there when needed. Okay, that's from me.
Thank you, Brother Carmine. I now call on our District Chairman, Brother Mark, to address the meeting.
Brother Albert again, Brother John Paul, of course. Brothers, just want to say this, that when I first joined the Knights, if you doubled my age, I was still the youngest in the branch. And there was a lot of guys there who were legends, but anyway, they were enthusiastic. And that's what I want to talk about, the word enthusiasm. And I did learn this at school. At school I was probably the kid looking out the window, but I did hear this and it stuck with me forever. And it sums up the Knights. The word enthusiastic comes from the Greek words in theos, which means in God. And that's the Knights. We're just in God, we're working. And the word enthusiasm, as we know, are people who are really keen, but the real meaning of that is the early church, the Greek people saw the Christians doing all this good work like the Knights, and they used to point to those people and say they're the people in God. And that sort of got worked into in theos, which was in God, enthusiasm. And I think the really special thing that I found about the Knights was the Christian concern that these bunch of old men, which I joined in Oakley, so it's a land far away from here, a good land, Tony. But the concern these guys had for their fellow parishioners to help and serve these people. And I remember one of the members, and I was thinking, mate, you're a bit proppy on your feet, and he asked me to come and help someone. He wanted to clean up someone's house, and he was working for someone that I thought wasn't too far behind him, sort of thing. And it was pretty inspiring stuff. And when I moved from there to here, when I say here, to Bacchus Marsh, which was sort of the promised land, because the only saint in Australia has walked past my house, because my house was built and she came past. So my house is like a rally. I mean, that's a long back and forth, but I will. But when I came to Bacchus Marsh, I actually didn't know anyone, but I knew the priest. Well, I thought I did, because when I went and said good day to him, he actually didn't remember me. But so basically I was standing from scratch. I'll never forget this comment my wife said. I was full of gusto, went out the back door on a farm, so we've come from a house in East Bentley to this farm, and sometimes farms, when there's a little bit of rain, you get this tremendous smell of life that you can only, and I ripped out the back door and I saw her and she was a bit down looking, and she said, it's all right for you, Mark, you've come to this place and you're looking forward to it. And I said, yeah. She said, aren't you? And she said, yeah, but I don't know anyone. I said, I don't know anyone either. And she said, yeah, but it's all right for you because you've got the Knights. Now, at that time, I actually didn't know any of the Knights because it was within the first week. Anyway, it's fantastic that the great man Hugh Miller at the back here, who was our district state branch chairman at the time, first mass we went to, this massive booming voice, Werribee Mark Farrell, welcome aboard, mate. And that was it. That was the Knights. And even though I'd come across from one side to the other, the same enthusiasm, gusto, and brothership that we had over in Oakley, where I left those guys, or as they said, I abandoned them. And then when I came over here, it was exactly the same. And that's what, there's one thing that you're invited into, which is tremendous. And at the time, I didn't realise it, that you're actually working with people at the same level of faith as you, where oftentimes we come from work environments where, we're seen as, oh, that's that Catholic guy or whatever. But when I come to the Knights, the power of those guys who are spiritually match-hardened like me, getting together, working out the needs of the area, working with that enthusiasm as a bunch of brothers, going in this direction, it's really good. And I think the direction and the tools, and when I say tools, I mean the experience with what Brother John has brought to the order over the last few years. The thing that I noticed was when I was in Oakley, that branch 101, that represented 4 parishes. When I came to Bacchus Marsh was branch 50, and that was 1 parish, 1 branch. And it was this conversation I just had with Brother Murphy over there, Brother Steve, who, and I said to him, you know, the difference is unbelievable, because after Mass, I would see half the nights there. We'd be just talking about what we're doing next, having these de facto nights meetings at the end of Mass. It was really productive, and I just felt these smaller groups were so much more effective because we all lived in community, and it was really good. And that's the model now going forward, that it's a lot easier and it's a lot more personal, and you're actually working at your parish level. And just to finish off, you know, this parish priest here, you know what I love about you, Father? You're exciting. Every time I see you, you're that guy with all that enthusiasm, because you can just see, you know, the love of God for the people just bursting through. And so, you know, fantastic. And while here on the roll, the other priest here, called Father John Paul, man, this guy gave, and I mean, it's got nothing to do with the nights, but I just sort of hit 60. This guy was in our parish, and some of the homilies he gave were just brilliant. Actually, I reckon I learned more about history from this guy than I did in all my schooling. And he just loved getting into it, to the point I would leave, go home and start looking up stuff. It was just like a little entree he'd give me. His homilies were just so in depth and just fantastic. And I just thought, like, if you work out anything about the nights tonight, you learn something about this good bloke. Right? And look, wherever the nights take you, all the best. It's a real adventure. I loved every minute of it, and I still do. So thanks.
Brother State Chairman, certain gentlemen are present who desire admittance to our order.
Brother Warden, please announce the names of the candidates and invite them to come forward.
The following gentlemen come forward to the names called, just invite myself. Yogarajah Carter, Alexis SNG, Kashmir Gregory, and Ernest Mark Farrell.
You go to the second page. Gentlemen, you have been admitted tonight into our order of the Knights of Southern Cross, so that you may take part in the good work of the order and enjoy the privileges of membership. Gentlemen, the objects of our order are as follows: to promote the advancement of Australia, to foster the Christian way of life throughout the nation, to promote the welfare of its members and their families, to encourage spiritual, social and intellectual activities amongst its members, to conduct and support educational, religious, charitable and social welfare work. Do you promise to do everything in your power to further these objects?
Answer, I do so promise.
Our order requires each of you to abide by the rules of the order, to exercise tact and discretion in everything you do and say as a knight of our order, to be careful to ascertain the fitness of a person for membership before nominating him, to refrain from disclosing to any non-member the name of a member without his permission, and finally to oppose the admission of any person who, in your opinion, would not fulfil the requirements of membership, which I have just stated.
Answer, I do agree to these requirements.
I do agree to these requirements.
Each of you will raise your right hand and repeat the declaration.
In the presence of the officers and the members of the Order of the Knights of Southern Cross, I make the following pledges: to adhere at all times, to the rules and the principles of the Order, to endeavour lawfully to further its aims and objectives, to shape my conduct and my life in the manner befitting the conduct and life of a Catholic gentleman, to exercise tact and discretion in everything I do and say as a knight of our order, and in particular to refrain from discussing with non-members matters which are exclusively order affairs, to recite daily the night's prayer, to endeavour to attend all meetings. I give these pledges willingly, firmly resolved to honour them, and am conscious that if I fail to observe these pledges, I will be guilty of a serious breach of good faith.
You may lower your hand.
Congratulations on becoming a knight. Congratulations, Colin. Congratulations, Alex. Congratulations. Yeah, I'll do the right thing. At all times. Turn around and the whole one. Welcome our new welcome, brothers. You are very fortunate in this district. You've got a man that's got the gift of the gab. I can tell you now, he definitely has the gift of the gab. Sometimes his administration is not that good, but he's definitely got the gift of the gab. The one thing about Mark is probably the most enthusiastic person we'll ever come across in the night. And I saw it at Oakley, and he was able to get a branch that was struggling to make it thriving, and they ended up winning the branch of the year. He is very enthusiastic. We've seen that at Bacchus Marsh. He's been able to turn around a branch to become a very strong branch at Bacchus Marsh, and I'm hoping that the work he's done, because he's one thing about these new branches, he has been pushing the one parish, one branch, right? And probably from what he's seen down at Bacchus Marsh, and at the end of the day, he believes in it, and he will support all branches in the district for sure. And you've got a very strong district here, so let's continue to work and get new members. I mean, we've got 4 brand new members today. I know that there are a further 3 that will be installed for the next month, so definitely keep up the good work. We're very fortunate to have Peter O'Toole here, which was the 12 months ago we commenced the branch and I think we had 6 to 8 join that night. Is that right?
He's smiling again. Smiles on our faces.
So smiles on their faces. We come from, or I come from Rover, which is a good hour away from here. And I'm happy to attend meetings as long as I've got warning of when your meeting is. I'm happy to come down and support you. You've got a very good man in John Hennessy leading the ship here. He's got plenty of experience, and I can assure you he'll definitely work for the parish. If you know of any other good men that could carry on the work that we do, please pass on the names to John and Mark, and the branch will build. While we're here, we've also got a legend in the Knights, in Kevin McLaughlin. He's been a member of the Knights for in excess of 40 years, and a lot of the economic stuff that the Knights still do today comes from the hard work of this man. So use him. He's got tremendous knowledge. Take advantage of it. Okay.
Let's get on to your section now.
I think we've done it.
Yeah, it's just your address and then questions and business.
So I speak.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, I guess. First of all, Father Albert, Father John Paul, and the dignitaries here, Brother Colin and Brother Carmine. We're dressed up fairly formally tonight. and this is because tonight is a formal occasion, so we're looking pretty smart with our ties and all our colours and everything that shows off what we've been doing and where we're going. Thank you for attending, especially those who have come a long way, and also, of course, for our new members, and also Glenn, who's having a look at us. And I think we've got a big future ahead of us. We've got a lot of work to do, and we're going to work on a plan that is going to support our priests. We are here to serve, not be served, and that goes right through the order from the top to the bottom. The State Council is here to serve the branches, not the other way around. So we need to understand that. We have planning underway. We're on a journey. The Pope, you might recall, back in about 2013, embarked on a journey for the Church that he called From Wandering to Journeying. And his statement was that the Church had been wandering since Vatican II and not really having any clear direction. And we were becoming increasingly remote from the world, increasingly isolated and irrelevant. So that was what started the Synod, the Plenary 2020, to try and address the current issues of the modern church and the modern world, and how the church should fit more closely with the modern world and how we might achieve that. The Knights of the Southern Cross also has been going through a similar experience, and using the same journey. We were wandering aimlessly without a lot of planning going on and a lot of direction, and the Knights were wandering around. We've now started to establish a journey, establish where we want to get to, and taking the steps to plan and organise ourselves in a disciplined way to get there. And that includes, that's especially addressing our parishes, the parish needs, and our clergy needs. Our clergy are very hard work, they are scarce in numbers and generally overworked, and it's a body like the Knights of the Southern Cross, as we further develop within our parishes, that we are going to become increasingly supportive and physically and practically helpful for all the clergy. And this is starting to come from the seminary through the Pre-Support and Education Fund and right through now to our branch planning. So we're very lucky here to have 3 priests who are extremely supportive of the Knights of the Southern Cross, and I hope that we can realise and justify that support in the way we serve the parish. We're not here to take over the parish or take over other bodies within the church, with other groups in the parish. We're here to look at identify the needs that are not being addressed and that maybe can be addressed, and we'll go into more of that in our planning at the next meeting. The next meeting will be probably July, because quite frankly, between now and July I'm full up. I'll go to Sydney in a couple of weeks for the national conference, and then I've got to go to South Australia because I not only am I State Order Development Officer, I'm also a National Order Development Officer. I've got 1 or 2 things on just in this next couple of months. So it looks like July will be our next meeting, unless we can do something in June, and we'll try and do that. I hope that I have your email addresses and things. You all have email addresses so that I can keep in touch with you and you with me. And that's very important. And keep the communication going. And as we get our plan going, we can then start to identify the people we need to take on those particular areas within that plan. So we don't just go out and broadcast, we need members. Yes, we need members, we need a few more numbers, but we really need to have organised the work that we want to do and the areas into which we want to be involved. There are things like Plenary 2020 when it came along, I think last year or 2 years ago. If you've got overworked priests who are really cut out, particularly in a parish like this with nearly 6,000 families, to have something like that thrown onto them as well and then think, my God, how are we going to organise this? Ooh, the Knights, where's the Knights button? Push the Knights button and the Knights materialise and we start to get organised to help out with projects like that. An example at the moment is a couple of weeks ago the priest met with the Archbishop and he had 5 areas of priority. It was parish, youth, marriage, families and the poor. St Vincent de Port is going to do the poor, but there's work for the Knights in parish, youth, marriage and families. And how can we respond to that? So there's things like that get thrown in front of us all the time and we're too busy, sitting watching TV or something. I don't need to go any further, I think, brothers, other than to thank you all for attending. And I'm starting to feel pretty enthused about the future for us here in St Andrews, especially with the support of our priests. And I hope that we can support them and really get things going in this parish. But they're not going now. It's a very active parish, very vibrant, and there's a hell of a lot going on. So we'll just navigate our way and demonstrate how we might be able to do a lot of those extra things that are not being done. Thank you, brothers.
The meeting can't finish without District Chairman from District 9 saying a few words. I think that he's got a lot of enthusiasm as well. So I'd like Brother Tony just to explain to you what you've got out of the Knights.
Reverend Fathers, International President, State Chairman, District Chairman, State Councillors, sorry, Brother Andrew, I forgot about you. Branch Chairman, brothers, and welcome on board the new brothers. Like Brother Palma said, my name's Tony Imbriano. I joined the Knights 27 years ago. And the first year I was seconded on the actual executive and I've never been off it. I've had every portfolio and I'll get to the point where it's a lot easier to just stay home and just relax, and do nothing. But it's about making a difference. And I've got 5 children, I've got 2 grandkids. I actually postponed a family dinner tonight to be here with you guys, brothers, and everybody. So the family dinner's tomorrow night, so that's fine. I'm not in the bad books, it's going to be good. But it's about making a difference. Like at Dandenong North, it is fantastic because every third Monday we do a soup van, or 4th. And when you go out there and see all the homeless or people that can't day to day, and when you see a young little boy coming up to your van and he just wants a glass of milk, a hot dog in a polystyrene cup, your heart just swells, and you have made a difference. You've made a difference to that little boy. He goes back into his house with a big smile. And that's about, you don't just think about it, you got to do it. If you're going to be a member, you can't just sit back and say, that's it. I'm a member, I'm not going to do nothing. You've got to make the difference. And that is the difference. Get up, off your backside, and help. We're North Dandenong. We do raise a lot of money. And at the end of the year, we always give it out. And it just makes the difference. It's easy for me to be home tonight. Easy. But I've made the difference, and hopefully I can make the difference to you members. Don't think, do make the difference. Thank you.
Well,
Any questions from anybody? Comments?
Just one comment, I've got to bring it up. Communication, he's mentioned emails.
communication is creating enormous difficulties. We're all busy. We've got text messages, we've got emails, we've got phone numbers and so on. Regardless of all of those things, we still don't seem to know how to get in touch with each other on a regular basis. So I urge you to hear my words and get in there and use the technology to make contact with each other.
Thank you, Peter.
There's a beer for the new members. There's a few beers and a bit of food after, so
Mark loves his beers.
that's good. Probably just you've got to sort of drink for thirst to come.
So, with that, we'll invite you to join us for supper and call you to stand for Father Alan to lead the closing prayer. That's our National Council instruction.
National Council instruction. Brothers, we are reminded of our obligation to exercise the utmost tact and discretion in everything we do and say as Knights of our Order. Notwithstanding the general nature of some of our activities, there is much order business which is ours alone. Let us mind it well.
Lord's Prayer.
O God, bless all our enemies of the last side of the cross with your hands. Bless all our activities for us all time, to work for the greater glory and the salvation of all. And souls like my heart, rest in peace. Amen.
Prayer to St. Mary of the Cross. Patron.
Most loving God, we thank you for your sincerity in your cross, who removed all weakness to human dignity of Joseph. She fights large challenges with faith and courage. We pray for your intercession for our needs. We make this prayer through Jesus our Lord.
For vocations.
Heavenly Father, help us to respond to the liberation of the Church. Help all who promote our change life and assist them in their effort. For your great glory and service of your people, call many priests and religious. Give those who need all the grace to support generously and persevere faithfully. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
For world peace.
Lord of all, let your record good path through peace. Mary, our Mother, all the angels and saints in heaven, please join in prayer for all brothers and sisters on earth, for peace of all beings. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Blessed be God.
Blessed is always Amen.
Blessed be Jesus Christ, true God and true man.
Blessed be the name of Jesus.
Blessed be his most sacred heart.
Blessed be the precious blood.
Blessed be Jesus, the most holy sacrament of the altar.
Blessed be the Holy Spirit, the Paraclete, the helper of our God.
Blessed be the great Mother of God, Mary, most holy.
Blessed be the Holy Woman Conception.
Blessed be her glorious Assumption.
Blessed be the name of Mary, Virgin Mother.
Blessed be Saint Joseph, her most dear spouse.
Blessed be God and his angels and saints.
Holy Mary, Mother of God and Mother of the Church.
Obtain for us many holy priests and religious.
Our Lady, Help of Christian, Patroness of Australia.
Pray for us.
Saint Mary Immaculate, Patroness of our Order.
Pray for us.
Let us pray for all the departed members and their families. Then awareness of our society of the rights and unborn child.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
May we ask the Lord's blessing upon all of us who are gathered here, and especially the new members who have joined the group, the Family of Knights. The Lord bless us and keep us from all evil and bring us to everlasting life.
Amen.
My dear brothers, let us go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Amen.
We have the visiting Branch Chairman, please. We have the visiting district chairman. We have the visiting state councillors. We have the state chairman. We have the ICAP president. And the branch chairman and the relevant parts will bow to the members. And then I